Hello, YouTube and fellow YouTubers. Uh, I know it's been a while since I've done any videos and all, but hopefully that's going to be resolved here. I'm going to have a few more videos coming up on a more weekly basis. Uh, Either way, I'm sure most of you heard the news last night, or you're hearing it today about the difference in ruling now that Kevin Stewart was basically wrong. That's not a big surprise as far as I'm concerned. Uh, as most of you know, I'm a head judge at my locals. I am the head judge, I should say. Uh, and I've been the head judge at my locals for about 2.5 years now. And when I heard this ruling from the very beginning, I was like, this makes no damn sense whatsoever. So I decided to basically stick to my guns and follow the OCG rulings because I knew we would eventually follow them given a little bit of time, especially after the statement that they made that, oh, these new rulings were under revision, which most people did not even pay attention to that fact, and that's why they got screwed as far as the tour guide thing goes. As well, last night my friends and I, all together on Facebook, basically had a big celebration. I started the big celebration by basically telling everybody to raise a cereal bowl of victory because I was getting ready to eat a bowl of cereal, so it became a big thing. Some people didn't have cereal, so I just told them anything in a bowl was good enough. So we had a good time with that. Um, as well, just to say, for those of you who are not completely aware of why this is a big deal with this difference in ruling, it's better for you not to comment on any of this kind of stuff until you know exactly what was going on. Because you'll just make yourself look like a complete idiot, honestly. So it's best to just hold off until you understand what was going on. Other than that, this is mostly supposed to be a deck video, but with what happened last night, I wanted to put in my 2 cents real quick. Um, I'm going to be doing an updated version of my X-Sabers, which have been needing to be done for a little while, but I just held off until the new format so I didn't have to redo the video again. So, as well, at the end of this, I'll be showing you guys 3 tens, and you'll be voting on the respective number representing that 10. And there's 2 decks in each 10. And whatever 10 gets the most votes, those 2 decks will be done the following week. And then we'll do another voting, and then the last one's basically decided after that. So, start everything off. My X-Saber deck that's been updated for the current format as well as a few reprints. First off, I still only run 2 Vultural. I feel 3 is too much of a dead draw, especially when I'm dead drawing my Vulturals half the time, honestly. It's just a big issue of consistency. Every once in a while, I'll draw them when it's absolutely the worst time, and anyone that's played X-Sabers knows exactly what I mean. I still run 1 Guard Strike. It's a great thing to start some massive plays, especially if your opponent destroyed your field like none other the previous turn. Still run only 2 Bogart Knight. I feel 3 is a bit much. I can understand why you would run 3, but I only need 2 in my build. One of my personal favorites is X-Saber Urs. Most people don't see the usage of him. I find him very helpful, especially in locking your opponent down further, especially if you get the Vultural Loop on them and they do still have some level of field presence. This at least allows you to lock them down completely from being able to get access to new stuff, unless they have some type of searcher already present. Then 2 Arabellums. I know most people have stopped running these in their X-Sabers, at least according to what I've seen on Pojo, which I know is not a very good source for this, but from what I've seen, people have stopped running it so much. I still like it a lot. It helps my deck a lot. One of my absolute favorite tech choices for this deck, which may see some play this upcoming format with all the Judgment Dragons going on and all that stuff, which is Garsum. I don't know if he'll actually see any play, but I can see some play with him. He's great because he basically makes your opponent's big, massive destruction effect that hits him a little less powerful and allows you to counteract it in an easier way. Then there's my two Full Helm Knights. Just to cover this real quick, I do have the supers. I just prefer the rares, which as well, if you guys can see it, both of mine are first edition, and those of you who know about the Ancient Prophecy issues with the editions know that it's a lot harder to get the first edition stuff from Ancient Prophecy. As well, I just prefer the appearance of the rare ones more. Then there's my two Emmer's Blades, which I got out of those special editions. I still don't think Emmer's Blade is justified even at $30. So I still do not want to spend the money on those. Besides, I think it looks pretty good as a super. Then there's my two Rajagura, which I could run the rares. I had them offered to me, but I'd rather run the common ones, considering mine are also both first edition and the Ancient Prophecy thing again. Then there's my two Dark Souls. Yeah, I know you could run 3 and it works great and all for those people. I don't go for the over abusive thing with Dark Souls. So then there's my two Pashul. Then moving on to spells, we've got enemy controllers, which are very helpful, especially with the Full Helm Knight thing, as well just getting random Dark Soul off. For the new format, I've got one Heavy Storm, one Lightning Vortex. I still prefer Lightning Vortex over Dark Hole simply because it does only hit my opponent's stuff. The fact is I know a lot of people talk about the hand advantage thing against Lightning Vortex, but that discard, I make it an advantage almost every time, so I can get something in the grave that I want in the grave, and as well, it's just the fact that it does not impact my stuff. That's the big thing. Monster Reborn. I run two MSTs. The next two cards, they will most likely be leaving, but they're in here currently, so I at least can make usage of them. They'll be going towards another deck that I have planned, which those of you who know my future plans, you know exactly what I'm meaning, which are the Pot of Dualities I have here. I have a play set, but I only had room for 2. These are normally terraformings, but I wanted to try out the Pot of Duality to see if it made the deck any more consistent. My two Saber Slashes. People think this card is a piece of shit nowadays, but it still is very, very, very helpful. Then this one I've tried taking out, but it keeps migrating back in because of the usefulness of it, which is my 3 Saber Vaults. They've saved my ass so many times. The biggest problem I've seen with X-Sabers the vast majority of the time, at least with my build, is they have trouble against stuff with 2500 or more. It would not be such a big deal once we get Soza, but that extra boost is very, very helpful to me. Especially makes it easier for my monsters to survive that first turn. Then there's this one. I used to run 1 back in the day. Now I'm running 2. It seems to be working a lot better nowadays for some reason, but it's at 1 with the sword. Gives you a little bit of a boost as well. Not hard to play around. The whole thing of you can only control 1 X-Saber when you activate it. But it's not hard to play with, trust me. You just have to actually think for a second and be like, okay, let's sync, let's use it now. Then let's go ahead and normal summon and special summon after that. You just gotta be smart how you play it. As well, that little draw helps. Then there's my 2 Compulses. Most of the time I was running Saber Holes, but the majority of the time right now, It may go back to Saber Holes depending on how the format goes, but the majority of the time the Compulses were better. Odds are I will be switching back over to the Saber Holes, considering if I am facing stuff like the Judgment Dragons, the Blackluster Soldiers. The good thing is they're still in my side, so I can easily swap those out the second they pop up. My 2 ultra rare Gotom Decals, which, I'm sorry, the common just looks pitiful in comparison. And then there's my 1 Trap Stun. Seeing as Cold Wave got hit a while ago, that's why I stuck Trap Stun in. Then as far as extra deck, as most of you know, I try to keep it as pure as possible. There's my 2 Gotoms, my 2 Hyunlei, which I could run 3 Hyunlei, which would be fine, but with Rajagura, you can recycle them relatively easily. And as well, with the upcoming format, the way people are running spells and traps, stuff that they're setting, at most, a lot of the time I'm seeing is only like 3 cards. So, 1 Hyunlei wipes out their entire back row stuff. Then there's Urbellums, I run 3 of them. He'll be getting a lot less usage in my deck, especially when we get Soza, which I want 3, period. Because he's so easy to make. Then I run 2 Wayne. I could run 3, but Wayne's really not that helpful in the deck. That's the simple thing about it. Now as for the little voting thing, we've got my Wind Up Zen Meister Tins, which there's 2 deck boxes in each and every single one of them. If you don't believe me, you can hear some rattling around in there. There's stuff in there. But, for example, there's number 1 right there. There's number 2, which I know my handwriting's kind of bad, but whatever. And then Wind Up Zen Meister number 3. Just to reiterate, there are 2 deck boxes in every single one of those. So there's a total of 6 decks that'll be going over. Whichever one gets the most votes, those 2 decks will be profiled next week, as long as my schedule doesn't screw any of that up. So basically, just tell me what number you want to see in the comments for the next video. As well, for my friends on Dual Team Southern Cross, you guys will be seeing this video here in a minute. So, Osman 9 Slicer signing out.